you're welcome to this week's edition of The Magnet. Today we shall be focusing on something that affects virtually everybody. How sufficient do we have food on our table? How conscious are you in farming? Time of old, we're all very conscious to the extent that virtually all families have what is called backyard farming, that any little space is converted to cultivating either some crops, vegetables, and so many other things. You can just go behind your house, pick up some little vegetables, tomatoes, and then the food is ready for the family. Are we still practicing that? Or it is just importation of most of the things that we eat? It is the magnet. We have somebody who lend a voice to this very, very important discourse of us today. Let's give you this background report of our magnet for the week. When we come back, you agree with me that he is well enlightened on the subject matter.
Kola is the founder, Managing Director, KSP Shipping and Logistics Limited. Among other companies includes KSP Farms Limited, KSP Global Synergy Limited. Kola, an investor farmer, a go-getter with focus on great rewards. Kola, an alumnus of Lagos Business School with bias in Ownership Management Program, a diploma holder in Oil and Gas Logistics at West Coast Maritime Institute, Canada, an international business expert from the oldest business school in the world, ESCP Business School, Spain, a postgraduate diploma in Logistics and Supply Chain Management, 2009, first degree in Library and Information Science from Bayero University, Kano, delegate to various international business forums, an astute manager of men, materials and resources. His drive, knowledge, pedigree with sterling experience and agility has contributed in positioning KSP as a player in the industry, both locally and globally. He is a member of various professional groups, too numerous to mention. He has also badged several awards to complement his competence on the job, adding value anywhere he needs to serve. A great golfer, swimmer, member of various prestigious clubs.
You're welcome back. You've seen a bit of a citation of our magnet for the week, and it's my great pleasure to welcome to the magnet Mr. Kola Aderibigbe. Is the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of KSP Group, which has an arm of KSP Farms. You're welcome to the magnet.
Thank you so much, madam.
And let's use this opportunity to thank you for lending a voice to our last webinar where the focus was on food sufficiency. How conscious is an average Nigerian into farming to the extent that we are able to go away from this, what we are experiencing now in terms of death in food supply?
I can say it's very saddening that lately most Nigerians are not conscious of farming any longer. As you said, gone are those days when we used to have backyard farming. I think when I was growing up, my mom used to have backyard farming, the vegetables, the okra, and the ewedus. That we go there, we pluck, oh, Kola, go to the backyard, get me X, Y, Z. I couldn't go there, and including bitter leaves, but currently, people are not conscious of farming any longer. Education has eroded quite a lot of things from us. When we look at it, service industries mostly has really taken away so many things. In Nigeria, we have let all this thing down by not focusing on agric any longer. When we look at it, the advent of oil and gas, that one alone is I can say, somebody really said that it is a cost to Nigeria. It has been a blessing, it's a blessing, right? Yes, the oil boom, which took away everybody away from the farm.
Okay.
So
you recall that even the farmers, let's say peasant farmers now, who are very enthusiastic, probably that's the only vocation they know. How do you think they are really encouraged to even practice this when you look at a lot of decay in the infrastructure?
Decay in infrastructure is another big challenge that we have. As I mentioned, though despite that there was oil booms in the 70s, right, but everybody now bringing cutlasses to take their own share off away, and they forget about the farming and they forget about the infrastructure. I think that has to do with our government. You see, and the government is in 3 levels. At each stage of governance, if they are playing their part, there will be any decay in our infrastructure. One of the foremost infrastructures is the area of roads.
Access road.
Access road. You see, this is one of the things that's made every product that comes from farm more expensive. When there's bad access road, there'll be a problem of accessing the goods from the farm land and into the city. Right, and not that alone, quite a lot of perishable goods, they get bad before they get to the market.
Yes, you actually took it off me in terms of decay. I remember precisely during the webinar, your advocacy was more on cold chain, food preservation. I still go back to our farmers in the rural area where they would have struggled and strived to farm and then taking these products to the market is a huge problem. How do you think they can preserve these products to the extent that it will last the period from harvest to up to the market, that nothing will happen to them?
When it comes to agriculture, for me, as specialist in supply chain management, I think we need to see how we can complete the value chain. Right. Part of the completion of the value chain has to do with proper preservation, as you have said. There should be cluster of cold chain facilities within the farm settlement, whereby there are going to be good warehouse, whereby there can be joint venture. I think I did mention about joint venture between the government and the private industries, whereby there can be a good warehouse around the settlement. Then there can be a cold chain facility around the settlement as well, whereby goods can be preserved accordingly.
How else do you think they should be thinking of preservation? I know those days, like a crop like, they call it a tatashe, this very big,
Yes.
There's a way you can preserve, dehydrate it for a later use. Do you think they can be thinking along this line to preserve some of their product that is cultivated in large quantity?
Yes, I can say regarding in that perspective, when we look at the area of yam, there's a way the peasant farmer, they preserve yam.
Yes. The bean.
They put it in a kind of a shelf, tree shelf, whereby one just needs to hear it. Construct a good warehouse base, right, whereby you can stack them accordingly. Then there must be good ventilation. As you talk about the tatashe, those are perishables. But when we are looking at large quantity, then machineries need to come in.
Sure.
Machinery to dry it completely so that it can sustain the next market stage need to come in.
Okay, what do you think of processing now?
Yes.
Because, like you said, the government is in 3 levels.
Yes.
Local, state, and federal. You have a rural area where, let's take example of tomatoes.
Yes.
And it is cultivated in large scale.
Yes.
You recall during the webinar, I put a question to the keynote speaker on the model in Kaduna, where you have these tomato jaws, where the locals are made to be part owners. What do you think of processing in a way that some of this product can be processed ab initio, right from cultivation stage, and sent to the market?
Production from the farmland needs to come in. We need investors, apart from government, because government
can't do it all.
They can't do it all, but at the same time, they need to provide an enabling environment. The security need to be there, good roads need to be there, water need to be there. Power need to be there. Yes. So everybody is generating his own electricity. But at the same time, say we have to progress. We must not dwell on it. We mustn't dwell on it. So that is where the local industry need to come in. You see, government need to start thinking of how to like decentralize some departments
Processes.
or decentralize some ministries, right? If one's supposed to be in, if a ministry is supposed to be in Lagos, let them move it to something like Kafanchan, right? What is the Ministry of Agriculture doing about ginger processing in Kafanchan?
Ginger, garlic.
Garlic, what are they doing about it? So we need factories, we need investors, but as I said, ab initio, we need an enabling environment. We need an enabling environment.
Okay, part of the enabling environment that we should look at is your advocacy on cold chain supply.
Yes.
I saw a picture of your slides that says that vehicles can move around
Yes.
from the harvest stage to the market or even towards a production center. How do you think an average peasant farmer can leverage on this without, costing him or her so much?
Regarding that, you say a peasant farmer, we hardly take their product to the final market. That is what I found out. A peasant farmer.
But they can be encouraged to do that.
It can be encouraged if it's going to be on a large scale.
Okay.
Because what happens is because by the time a peasant farmer, because we don't have to think of business here now. Not a peasant farmer who is just doing it just on a passion level. No, we're talking of agro business here, right? A peasant farmer, we have to sell that to possibly a middleman who will collate from different suppliers, so that is those are the people who can really harness that kind of opportunities. Because a peasant farmer will just have 1 ton. It will not be profitable.
Okay.
So what I will say is that there should be a kind of collective of peasant farmers who will look at the quantity they can produce over time, right? Identify their market, then harness such an opportunities.
This is the magnet. Let's go for a short break. And we're still conversing with Mr. Kola Aderibigbe, the MD CEO of KSP Group and also KSP Farms. We'll be back shortly. You're still on to the magnet. It's a great pleasure to still be conversing with Mr. Kola Aderibigbe, the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of KSP Group. Give us an insight into how cold chain can further preserve our food, protect our food products, and then, of course, avoid the debt we are having in the market or in the space, Nigerian space presently.
Cold chain, as your name implies, so it's something whereby you don't break the movement of the chain that is from cold to cold. That is mostly goods that are perishable. The moment you harvest them, you put them in a cold room, right, for certain about period of time with certain amount of temperature, right? So when it's ready to go to the market, the truck is ready, which is called a refrigerated truck. Such is already in the market. You can see, I believe people must have been seeing it all around. Really? Mostly when it comes to eco meat.
Yes, that's correct.
They move it from abattoir, from
different markets.
To the different markets. So that's just the typical example of a cold chain. So, but we must have the cold chain warehouse within the perimeters of farmers.
As a farmer yourself, do you think that, have we started practicing that, and how successful has it been?
We've started practicing it, though I have not started practicing it because we don't deal in the perishables, we deal in other cash crops, products, But if you can remember from my presentation, whereby a company invested in Kano, whereby they moved a lot of tomatoes from Kano to Lagos, and that reduced the damages,
the spoilage.
The spoilage from the interland to the market. So I think we can still harness it, something we can practice, and with the help of government, just like now, I think I read whereby B Bank of Agric, now they're putting a kind of advertisement out whereby they can engage public-private partnership, whereby I think the private can provide 40% of the funds to purchase some agricultural implements. So I think we can learn from that as well, because we still have a long way to go. Because we can see there's shortage of food globally. There's shortage of good food in Nigeria. You can look at the prices, because nobody wants to go to farm any longer. With all this kind of spoilage around, if cold chain is not annexed, I think we're still going to continue to have what we call a vicious circle.
Okay, before we come to your core area of the cash crop that you talked about earlier, let's look at, we've enumerated some of the causes of post-harvest losses.
Yes.
Let's see from your own insight, what are the other causes that staring us in the face that you think we can quickly find solutions to?
One of the causes of post-harvest is one of it, which we earlier mentioned, the infrastructure, which is bad roads, right? Because if there's no good road for vehicle to move the goods from interland to the market, it's a problem. Preservation, road preservation is a major problem. How do you preserve? How do we store? That's where the issue of cold chain now comes in. Because you see, the post-harvest losses is, I can harvest 100 tons of corn, but if I don't have the right transportation system, if I don't have the right preservation system, the right warehousing, definitely there'll be losses. Not that alone. Insects can eat it up. So what are we doing? Because all these things can happen after harvest.
Okay, let's even look at the fact that our various homes, you go to market, you don't want to buy things bit by bit, you want to buy wholesale. You buy these things, you come. Do you have an idea on how people can also preserve their food from yam, potato, tomatoes, meat, and because that's your core area?
You can see in a city like this, majority have generators. So like yam, people are beginning to put their yam, they wrap it, they put in the fridge. That's what I've seen. Now, people are beginning to, unripe plantain, right? They wrap it with some used newspapers. Yeah, to put it in the fridge.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I've experienced.
I'm hearing that for the first
Yeah, you try it.
Okay.
Unripe.
So it will preserve for a while.
It preserve for a while. So I've seen it. It's part of the study we have conducted. So those are the ways. Okay. People are beginning to even slice their yams, cut it, make sure that and put it in a bag, cellophane, and put it in the fridge. I make the same thing. But what we should avoid for health purposes, because we have to be hygiene when it comes to this. You should not allow your light to go up beyond 4 or 5 hours.
Now, still talking about food preservation. You know, some people will say that if you go to markets, let me use the example of beans.
Beans, yes.
If you don't see any little weevil, that means chemical has been used to preserve it. What's the effect of using such chemicals to preserve food on our health?
Using such chemical is very hazardous to our health. I think our farmers need to do more research on the way of food preservation by not using chemicals that can be dangerous to. There are quite a lot of things that can be used to preserve all these things. But because of the cost of purchase of such chemical, people prefer to buy the cheaper one, right, to spray on our food.
As much as you are into import and export, you have also carved a niche for sort of cash crop and palm kernel, to be precise. What was the drive? Why did you leave every other crops and you decided to, knowing that This particular product has a number of years for gestation.
It was in 1996 while I was working for an export-import company. Then I used to be the sales rep that goes into the hinterland, go to the factory to purchase the byproduct, to source for a byproduct for export. That I must make sure I get all these goods loaded out of Ibadan, Ondo, straight to the port. This used to be animal feed. We call it PKC, or we call it the whole cake, because they're two different products. Then the factory owner would tell me that, oh, they don't have material, they don't have kernel. I said, oh, why don't you have kernel? I said, oh, the price has gone up. When we're starting then, I remember kernel was just 7,000 naira, where they would supply kernel, 7,000 naira. Well, within 2 months, the price shoot up to 9,000 naira. I said, oh, the price has gone up. And I now see that people were intercepting, other factories were intercepting the supply on the road. They will increase the price. Lo and behold, within 2 years, this price moved from 7,000 to 21,000 naira. That's when I said, oh, what kind of business is this? Because, you see, by my background, everybody, I think, without no apology, educations have really, really messed us up. It's good. We good for us to be educated. To get exposed, to get enlightened. Yes, without that, I won't be where I am today. But at the same time, we need to put our reasoning faculty in place. In schools, they need to teach us about manufacturing industry, because it's like they only taught us how to work for others. They don't teach us other things that are in the economy. It was when I started working with that company, I got to know about oil millers that crush palm kernel, they make PKO, palm kernel oil. That palm kernel oil is that what they use, they refine to become vegetable oil, vegetable oil.
Really?
You see in the market, yes. Yeah, and the same palm kernel oil they use for cosmetics and all that. Okay, then when I said, now look at the price, I said, oh, this should be a good business. From there, I put it in my mind that come what may, I must go into this business. I must plan. For me to start to become an oil miller, say the material must be available, because I don't want to struggle having material, looking for materials. So for you to get to that stage, there must be a plantation. Then I started looking at different models and whatever. That's exactly what inspired me.
How long ago have you been here?
Yeah, now the first set of the palms started about 10 years ago.
Okay.
Right, which we started harvesting, and we started milling little by little in a more small way, right, whereby it used about 8.2 hectares. Then the Ogun State government, we got some land from the Ogun State government as well to expand about 22.8 hectares.
How is it paying your bill? We're looking at.
I would say it does not really pay the bill, but because it's good.
Gestational?
Because of the gestational period, and then palm kernel plantation. Palm plantation is something you must be able to do in a large scale. You must be able to do in a large scale, because there must be about 9 meters away.
Wow.
Yes, 9 meters away.
You need a lot of land.
You need a lot of land. Because some palm can be, just like now we have the different species which can give you good yields.
From growth?
From growth, it can last as long as 100 years.
Okay.
But the yield will be reduced.
Just like human being.
Just like human being. So, but if you are really going into deep investment, you have to pre-plan. Okay. After 25 or after 30 years,
you excavate that.
You excavate and you plant another one.
Really?
Yes.
What's the motivation and the inspirational words you want to part this conversation with, particularly for the youth out there?
We need to encourage our youth more, and our youth need to encourage themselves more as well. They need to have their set goals. They have to have their set dreams. But government need to play a major part in it. Let there be so much drive. Let there be so much encouragement in area of agriculture. Mechanized farming is the best. It's the best, and the government has. I'm very impressed when I saw the advert from the Bank of Agriculture. That really gladdened my heart. That means the government is listening. I think with that, people will be encouraged. People will be encouraged because nobody wants to use their hands. Some people at times I tell people, I say, I'm a farmer. Are you? You're a farmer. Which let me see that. So people still have the kind of cutlass, whereas it's not. So my advice for the youth is let's embrace farming.
Any moment from now, we should come and see what you have done so far in the farm so that a lot of people will be encouraged. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
So that's how it's been. It's been the Magnets. Join us same time next week for another edition of the program. Until then, keep watching. Bye for now.